Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
The Committee on Education. Yes, Reverend.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the motion under discussion and to indicate that one of the most critical sectors we have in every economy in our country is the education sector. You get the education sector wrong, and the rest of the sectors will be challenged in the long term. Mr. Speaker, one sector among a few other sectors that should have been the priority of this government, but sadly, having been jettisoned to the background, is education. If you appoint a very experienced minister as Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and you deny him the resources and the budgetary releases to be able to function, the result is what we are seeing. A woeful decline in education outcomes. Mr. Speaker, the House should turn with me to page 4 of the report. And to effect, Mr. Speaker, to crave your indulgence to effect a correction on the table 7.2, the third column should not be 2025 revised budget, but it should be released. So, okay, so as corrected. Out of the 31.7 billion cedis allocated to the Ministry of Education for the year 2025, rather in a very disappointing outturn, only 19.1 billion. Only 19.1 billion was released. Mr. Speaker, a total of 12 billion are in arrears, have not been released. How do you expect the education sector to function? It is ailing. It is dysfunctional. With 12 billion deficits, you only put the minister in a handicapped position. The Honorable Minister for Government Communication is indicating that his constituency alone has benefited from 600 desks, just one man. He went and distributed that. Instead of releasing the money to the Minister of Education to ensure equitable distribution of furniture, of education material, you hold back the releases and individuals. 600 desks to one constituency. Ask the backbench, Adam Agbana, ask the rest of the backbench. How many desks were they able to send to their schools? None. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the declining nature of education outcome, it must be a worry. In the year 2015, only 2% of our peoples in this country, only 2% of peoples at P2 could read by the EGRA assessment. We managed to invest heavily into the education sector from all levels, particularly foundational level. We took it to minimum 38% by 2023. Do we want to go back to the era where only 2% peoples were reading? On WASI outcomes, Mr. Speaker, when we talk about the quality of education, we have world-class indicators, undisputed, that we use to measure education outcomes to know how well our education is doing. When we have bequeathed to you a WASI pass rate of English, core maths, integrated science, and social science, just as recent as 2023, 73.11% of our WASI candidates passing English, integrated science, 66.82%, mathematics, 62.3%, social studies, 76.7%, pass A1 to C6. Under your watch, you have taken mathematics to 48.873%. Mr. Speaker, the dangerous thing about this resource is that more than half of our children who sat WASI will be denied opportunity to enter any tertiary institution. More than half. Over 52% of our learners will have to sit home. Their parents will have to pay several thousands of cedis for research because you are not releasing money to the Ministry of Education to undertake. You promise, you are talking about feeding, you promise headmasters that if they vote for you, you will send money directly to them so that they feed the students. You even promised, President Mahama promised that so that they will go and buy aponche and do aponche kakra for our students, only for them to come to power. They released for just a few months, and the releases stopped. And then they reverted to buffer stock for some time. Now, as we speak, another directive went that because the suppliers of buffer stock are owed in arrears, the government can no longer go to them to supply food. So the headmasters should now go and face suppliers and credit more food so that our students can have something to eat. Mr. Speaker, I have taken the pain to visit some of the schools, and if you see the kind of food our students are eating, it is terrible. Why? Because they are refusing to release 12 billion cedis to the minister. How do you expect Honorable Haruna Idrisu to maintain decent feeding system when 12 billion is in arrears? Mr. Speaker, on double track, they promised that when they come into power, immediately they will end double track. The moment they got into power, they said, we are deferring to 3 years. Honorable Kwachi Fosu should tell us which additional space they have created in our secondary schools. He was talking about overcrowding. He should point to us even a single additional space they have created within this period. Release money to the minister. 12 billion in arrears, Mr. Speaker, is unacceptable. I do not think that the Speaker himself will be excited about this. Mr. Speaker is a heavy continental advocate for education. He will not countenance 12 billion in arrears. It is an ailing sector. Mr. Speaker, you need resources to drive outcomes. Now, if we take out Gallup, that is a donor-funded program transforming over 10,000 least performing schools. If you take that intervention out, what is left of our education sector? Commitment from the government. So we are urging that the 39 billion cedis that is allocated in this budget, whilst we even think that it is inadequate, we are urging this government that the best course of action is to ensure 100% release to the minister to ensure that we have commensurate outcomes. A few years ago, our students from Memphis Girls and Prempeh could go to the United States of America and compete in robotics and STEM and become first, beating their compatriots from Singapore, Australia, and Canada. Today, what is the story? All the STEM schools that were under construction, the 11 that were able to commission, the rest that are left are still as it is. What we see is relaunch upon relaunch. And the sad thing is that after the minister has most enthusiastically relaunched certain programs, the funding that must go with it is locked up in the bosom of Honorable Ampim and his boss. Mr. Speaker, let the Finance Ministry release. Education it must not be locked up at Finance Ministry. It must be released to the Education Ministry. I know the competence of Honorable Haruna Idrisu. It is never in doubt. Even at the age of 39, we know the wonders he did at Ministry of Communication. But why is the education sector ailing now? Because 12 billion cedis is in arrears. But once we look at the finances, we must also turn our attention to the relevance of our education system. When we talk about having a serious look at the various factors that are accounting for this, we were expecting a very patriotic approach. But what we see is government machinery released. And all we hear is because, and a blame game given to the teachers. That teachers cheated in the past. Teachers abetted WASI candidates in the past. And that is the reason why we have stellar performances of our children. That is most regrettable. That is most regrettable. The same teachers we have 3 years ago are the same teachers. And we must put on record that the biggest partners of our education success story has been our teachers. They supported the creditable implementation of free SHS. They ensure the holistic development of every child that passed through our public education system. So if today you are even failing to release their allowances to them, and you are deferring, this will be the first year that teachers' allowances are being deferred. So if you are refusing to pay our teachers, do not blame this this rather appalling performance on the teacher.
Under them.
If the teacher is supported, he will deliver instruction. If the students are also supported and prepared adequately, they will face the examination with confidence. And they will get back to the days when the topmost three people who became the topmost performers in the whole of West Africa, beating Nigeria, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, were Ghanaians. Today, only 48% of them are passing mathematics. Could it be that they are putting a natural ceiling to how many people must access their no-stress fee?
Yes.
So that if they restrict the number of people who will be able to pass to go to tertiary, then they will have space enough to cater for them. If that is not the case, your data of financial performance does not support it. Because if your history is 12 billion in arrears, then anybody will easily believe. I might doubt, but everybody will easily believe that you want more of our students to fail, so that less will make it to the tertiary, so that your burden of your own promise, no stress fee, will be abysmal. Mr. Speaker, we want to indicate we are ever ready to support them to get back our ailing education sector outcomes back on track. We are ready to support. Ghana is all we have. Our students are brilliant. Our teachers are dedicated. Our minister is competent. The only thing left is the budgetary releases. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the committee's report on the budget. Mr. Speaker, a budget is more than a fiscal outline of expenditure and expected revenue. It is also a mirror of our national priorities. And indeed, when you take a look at the 2026 budget and the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Education, one does not need a soothsayer to predict that indeed President John Dramani Mahama is the president who cares about our educational sector and is committed to improving the quality of education. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the budgetary allocation to the ministry, it provides answers to all the three core metrics that universally are used in judging a country's educational system. The first one is accessibility, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this budget, government has provided for the construction of 200 new primary schools, 200 new junior high schools, 400 teachers' bungalows, and also 200 new kindergarten schools. It is important to expand access to education. And when we talk about access and expansion of accessibility, President Mahama and the Honorable Haruna Idrisu have demonstrated that indeed, beyond words, we are committed to expanding access. And that is why the budget has made adequate allocation for the construction of these new schools to provide accessibility for especially people in the rural communities. Mr. Speaker, the second metric is affordability. Mr. Speaker, the previous government indeed touted free SHS as their biggest achievement. At a point in time, even when you complain of headache, they will tell you that their solution is free SHS. When you complain about poor nature of roads in our constituencies, they responded that we are implementing free SHS. When market women were complaining about the high costs of doing business, their response was free SHS. But indeed, when you even check their response or the actual performance of the previous regime with regards to free SHS, it was nothing but an abysmal performance. Mr. Speaker, they can be akin to parents who gave birth without making adequate preparation to take care of their children. And indeed, they, at a point in time, even feeding, common feeding in our senior high schools was a big challenge, Mr. Speaker. But under this government, we have dedicated source of funding for the free SHS program. Mr. Speaker, today, our brothers and sisters, our children in the senior high schools are actually complaining that they are being overfed. And some of them are complaining that indeed the food that they are feeding on today is more than they expected. Today, in this budget, 4.2 billion has been allocated to the free SHS program, and our brothers and sisters in senior high schools will not face those challenges. The question is, if you say that we are not committing much to education, what was your record in terms of funding the free SHS program that you tout? Symbolic record by all standards. Mr. Speaker, the third area or metric is quality. Mr. Speaker, under the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, we have seen improvement in the quality of education. And in terms of improvement, Mr. Speaker, it is not only about WASSCE results that today they want us to talk about, because WASSCE results, we have been told, will be fully discussed in this house. But we are talking about training and capacity building for teachers. We're talking about the provision of teaching and learning materials to students across our schools. We're talking about the fact that today, when you visit public schools, especially the tertiary institutions, Mr. Speaker, persons living with disability are today going to benefit from free tertiary education. What more can we ask for than this? That today, if you are a Ghanaian living with disability, cost of education, funding, the school fees can no more become a barrier for you. Mr. Speaker, this must be commended. Again, Mr. Speaker, the no fee stress policy. As a member of parliament from a constituency that can be considered very rural, Mr. Speaker, there are many people from my constituency who got admissions to tertiary institutions, but because of the high cost of education at that level, they were unable to pursue tertiary education. Today, under President Mahama and the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, these students in public schools have the opportunity to go to school without paying the academic facility user fees. Mr. Speaker, this is true investment in our children, true investment in education. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the budget, yes, it is true that when you look at the entire education ministry, we can be Oliver Twist and ask for more because the challenges are more. But even with the little that the minister was given in the year 2025, we cannot trace the outcome of government's performance in education. And Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I would want to say that I find it surprising that our brothers or our colleagues on the other side today are talking about government's commitment to funding education, when indeed their scorecard is here with us. Mr. Speaker, when they talk about performance of students at WASSCE, instead of buying textbooks, they were buying past questions. They were buying past questions. And the Honorable Reverend, who today is complaining that you were the deputy minister, instead of buying past questions, instead of buying textbooks, you were only interested in buying past questions. And indeed, on record, you and your minister were only interested in buying past questions for our children, instead of supplying them with textbooks. Mr. Speaker, again, this was when the NPP was in power, Mr. Speaker, when the NPP was in power, apart from the shortage of food in our senior high schools, Mr. Speaker, the few schools who had the opportunity to get food, we all heard the reports of maggot-infested food being supplied to them. But you don't hear that today in our senior high schools. Clearly, President John Dramani Mahama and Honorable Haruna Idrisu are taking time to invest properly in our education. Mr. Speaker, looking at the outlook for 2026, one other thing that excites me is the fact that government intends to build 3 new public universities. Mr. Speaker, today we want to ensure that Ghanaians all over do not face any barrier in their access to tertiary education. And it's important that government be supported to implement this budget so that the 3 new universities, we are told one will be in OT, one will be in the Bono East region, and one will be in, I think, the Northeast region and Ahafo region. Mr. Speaker, this must be supported. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, there is something also very exciting in the budget. It is the fact that the ministry is planning to upgrade some Category C schools and B schools into Category A. Mr. Speaker, when you go to the whole Northeast region, as we speak today, There is no single category A school. And so for the ministry to take it upon itself to invest in upgrading senior high schools from category C, B to category A, and 30 schools will be benefiting from this project, this is commendable. And President Mahama and the Honorable Harun Idrisu must be commended. Mr. Speaker, I pray for a bipartisan support for the adoption of this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the adoption of the report on the 2026 annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Education. Mr. Speaker, before I go on, I would like us to go to paragraph 8.8, specifically 8.8.1. Mr. Speaker, the ministry recorded considerable growth in enrollment of students in TVET with an increase from 47,000 students in 2021-2022 academic year. Over the years to reach, Mr. Speaker, it's not 183. It's rather, if you look at the 2024-2025 academic year, is rather 69,000 students. So that needs to be corrected. Then also 8.8.3. Mr. Speaker, the ministry is yet to start the construction of these TVET centers, and this one also needs to be corrected. Even though one that was supposed to be at in Ashanti region at Mansour Bori has been relocated to Salaga, that is fine with us. So the ministry will also have to recorrect that as well. Mr. Speaker, everybody believes in education. All of us are here in this hollow chamber because of education. It's quite unfortunate that our honorable member just talked about instead of buying textbooks, we bought past questions. Mr. Speaker, I believe in I believe in evidence-based practice, and the data doesn't support it. The question is, what happened? What really happened that we have less than 50% of our students passing maths? You know why, Mr. Speaker? The ministry promised to spend almost 564 million on textbooks. Unfortunately, 564 million point 6 on textbooks. Unfortunately, none was done. None has been spent. None has been spent in the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the NPP's performance in 2024, the NPP spent 33.6 billion cedis for education as compared to 19 point something. Mr. Speaker.
Just a minute. Actually, I wanted the debate to flow. No interruption. Chairman, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to clear an issue he has just mentioned that the ministry said they were going to spend about 500 million on textbooks. It is in Get Fund formula for 2025, not in the ministry budget. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker,
yes,
I would like
please.
to refer to the 2025 budget, paragraph 380. And it says that, Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated an amount of 564.4 million for comprehensive provision of curricular-based textbooks covering the following: 4 sets of KG books with workbooks for 2.8 million, 4 sets of primary textbook for 800,000 learners, then 9 sets of JHS textbooks for 540,000 learners. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, when you come to the 2026 budget, these numbers have been lifted, put in here, and unfortunately also has reduced even that of primary to 1 million. So no wonder we are seeing what we are seeing. So, Mr. Speaker, the evidence doesn't support what the ministry is saying, because the investment that is supposed to go into education is not going. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, intervention allowance for teachers are not being paid. Mr. Speaker, if you look at I had a time to go through every single agency within the Ministry of Education, their budget, and I compared that of 2025 to that of 2026. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, you realize that people were paid to stay in offices doing nothing, because nothing was given for capex, neither was it being given for goods and services. That means that there's no reason why we're expecting anything better in the results of our WASI students, because it's the same performance. And Mr. Speaker, in fact, if you look at this year, the number of students whose exams or results have been withheld is so high. So the fact that people were not properly invigilated or they were allowed not to cheat it's untenable. It's, in fact, it even goes to confirm that probably there was more cheating in these exams than has been done in the past, if you are looking at the data. But, Mr. Speaker, we have been told that WAEC is going to meet the committee, and then we can have a better interrogation into this. Mr. Speaker, then when you go further, you realize that the ministry, as far as its commitment to basic education, cannot be assured. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, the same textbook that was supposed to have been printed in 2025 is the same thing that has been lifted for 2026. So what is the trust and what is the credibility here if we keep repeating the same thing? Then, Mr. Speaker, one thing that has been put in this 2026 budget that is going to kill private sector is the insistence that the former assembly press should be made mandated to print these textbooks. Whether they have the capacity, I don't have problem. But we are in a competitive country where we expect that private sector create jobs. Unfortunately, this budget is going to kill the private sector. 564 million is being only given to a government, one company already. Where is the fairness here? Where is the transparency? It has to be competitive. We should allow the private sector to be able to participate so that they can create more jobs. We want jobs for our youth. Already, people have been sacked at the beginning of 2025. Meanwhile, we are trying to also kill the private sector so that they can create jobs. If this is made competitive, Mr. Speaker, then, of course, we'll be able to print these textbooks and we'll be able to also improve on performance. Mr. Speaker, one another reason why you realize that the performance of our students was very poor is the fact that the Minister of Education on the 25th of June stood in this house and stated categorically that we are going to employ 50,000 instructors to support education. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Zero. Nothing happened. Zero. So, Mr. Speaker, if we intend to support education and to improve on the human capital of this country, Mr. Speaker, then we have to walk the talk and we have to talk as we walk. If we cannot just be putting figures and be just putting figures for nothing, but rather we should make sure that everything that we put for education, that is the base of our development and everything that we do. And we expect that once we approve this budget for the ministry, they will be released for the ministry for them to work. And one other important thing is that the fact that most agencies across all the ministries that we have met, they don't have the opportunity to utilize their CAPEX or their goods and services because of commitment authorization. Mr. Speaker, when we were passing this bill, our friends on the other side, the majority said, yeah. Now they are all crying. We need to review this so that this country can move forward. NPP is ready to come back in 4 years, but we want to make sure that we keep moving as a country so that when we come, we can continue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.